I'm going to show you how you can whip up a printable in Google Slides in just a couple minutes. First, we're just going to open up a blank presentation. And the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to go over to File and Page Setup. And this is where we can pick what size we want our slideshow to be. So in this case, I'm going to make an 8.5 by 11, like a standard sheet of paper. If you're going to be doing like an A4 or A5 size, you can put in custom measurements here. We'll hit Apply. And you can see that it's changed the size of our page here. And we're just going to go ahead and delete all this out. And you'll see also if you go to make new slides, it's going to keep it the same size that you're making. So you can make multiple pages at a time. We're just going to start with one right now. We can use our text box to create a title. For this example, I'm going to be showing you how to make a graphic organizer. Once I have my title, we can change the color of our font. I'm just going to keep this black. I want this to be really easy for people to print. They don't have to print and color anything. I'm going to make it bigger, and I'm also going to change my font to something a little more exciting. Inside Google, you'll have a whole bunch of fonts that you can pick from, and you're not even limited to just this list. If you go to the Add More Fonts, you'll see that it opens up Google Fonts' entire library, and these are all completely free to use. So you can have some fun looking through and kind of picking what you want to use. In this case, though, I know that I want to use this kind of fun font. It's called Cabin Sketch. It's a little bit fun. It looks almost like a little sketchy. I'm going to make this pretty big because this is the title for our printable. And then when you go ahead and grab your text box, you'll notice that when you move it around, some red lines will pop up and it'll actually snap. And that's showing you like where things are centered. I want to make sure this is centered. It's important not to get your text too close to the edges because then when people go to print, it won't print correctly. Next, I'm going to want to put some boxes in here. So we can go up here. So here's our shapes, and you can see Google has all sorts of shapes that you can grab from. I'm going to grab like this kind of this rounded corners one. And I'm going to put this here. I'm going to center it. And then again, I want to make sure this is as printer friendly as possible for people. So I am going to make it transparent. I'm going to change the border to black. And I'm also, if you click this button, it'll let me make the border a little thicker so it's a little easier to see. You can use your scroll wheel to zoom in, or you can use the zoom in tools if you need to get a little closer. Now for this, I'm going to keep this super simple. I'm making just a super, really simple graphic organizer for like writing a paragraph. I'm going to go ahead and just grab, rather than creating a new text box, I'm just going to copy paste this one. I'm going to shrink this down, let's see, maybe to 18. We don't want it too small. So this is where we'll put our topic sentence. Kind of squish that up, and again, make sure everything's centered. The more centered you can make things, the easier it is for people to read and be able to use. And once I'm kind of happy with the size, I'm going to kind of look at the page. Maybe I'll squish this just a little more. I'm going to go ahead and select both of these. If I click and drag, I can select both. And if you right click, you can see we have the option to group. You can also do, on a Mac, it would be Command Option G. But we can group this, and then this will keep this as a solid group. So if I drag it around, anything like that, it'll keep it together. And then I'm just going to copy that whole group and duplicate these down the page. And I'll show you a little trick in a sec. I'm just going to make a whole bunch of these because we'll have our 3 points and our conclusion, which will change the text in a sec. But if I go ahead and click and drag and select all of these and then right click again, we have some alignment options. So real fast, I can center all of these, make sure they're centered, and then I'll make sure they're centered on the page. And then if I right click again, there's a distribute option. And if I go ahead and hit distribute on these vertically, it's going to even out the space between these, so it looks really nice. We might have this be detail number 1. And you can obviously make these whatever you want, whatever wording you want. Part of why I made this for my son is I couldn't find exactly what I wanted, but that's a great thing about making your own printables. You can make them exactly the way you want to. Okay, so this is all together. The last thing that I might do, especially if this is going to be something that you're sharing, or maybe that you want to go on to sell or share on like Teachers Pay Teachers or something like that, I'm going to make a little copyright thing down in the bottom. So we're just going to type in here, 25. So I would be putting the name of my site. I'm going to make this a pretty small font, and I'm also going to change this. This is kind of a fun font. I'm going to make this something a little more standard. And then squish it up a little bit, make sure it's centered. And then I'm going to click here at the beginning, and if you go to Insert, There's special characters, and then you could do a search for copyright. And I'm going to enter the copyright symbol. Here we go. Accidentally put a couple too many, just deleting those. And there we go. This will be down at the bottom. If you don't have a website or anything, you can just leave your name here. And there we go. It's all ready to go. Obviously, you can add more fancy stuff if you want. If you want to make this in color and you have a color printer that you can use, I like to make a lot of mine black and white, just so it's super simple to print. You could add clip art here if you want and do all sorts of fun things. And then when you're ready to use this, you just go up to File, Download, and you can download it as a PDF if you want to share it. You can also print this directly. If you just hit the print button, you can print this directly to your printer.